Hey guys, it's V-Man from No Budget Productions, and with me today is my good friend Joseph. Joe, how are we doing, man?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Oh, finer than frog hair, my friend. So today we are here to discuss a relatively new fan film series, Starship Manchester. Um, what can you tell me about that? The whole, I mean, you kind of made it on the scene, kind of fresh out of the kettle, man. What can you tell me about the whole genesis of the whole ordeal, man?
Starship Manchester started. Actually, the idea progressed when Halloween of last year. I wanted something different. I got a uniform from Cosmart and I had it and I liked it and I got addicted. So I started buying more. And I got in link with a guy, part of that group. His name is David Sven McClinton out of Las Vegas. And we started about a fan charity organization and we named it the USS Manchester. We were looking for names and he's like, this one's not in canon. We can't get in trouble, use it. I'm like, cool. And I used the month and the year for the registry number. I got on and I got some people involved, but where I'm from in Illinois, it's Southern Illinois. So people are very still close minded. So you got, if you're like these types of things, you're kind of outcast. I'm like, man, how am I going to incorporate this? And I got to thinking, I'm like, what about, I come across your Star Trek fan films on YouTube and I reached out to you. And I was like, there's a perfect thing for me for this hobby. It's healthy, keeps me creative.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's this idea. I was watching Star Trek and I was like, no one ever tells how a captain becomes a captain. It's always boom, you got Captain Picard, Captain Janeway, Commander Cisco, Captain Kirk, Captain Pike, but no one knows the beginning on how they came in their younger year, either as an XO, as a lieutenant, what their background is. You found that later on. And that was the premise I was going with, that idea of there's no wonder that person's the captain. How did that crew member become chief of security, or how did they become the chief engineer? And that's where the story went with. And it was different. And I was like, I don't have a budget. And I'm seeing all these high budget ones. And you explained to me there's a lot of law stuff. Keep it under through. So learning, and I love learning. So learning, there it is. It's Star Trek, which I enjoy thoroughly, along with Ghostbusters and all that stuff. I was learning, and there was techniques that I like to learn. I'm like, I don't have to have a budget. All I need is a uniform, a dark room, and I everything else can go into place.
Yeah.
Green piece of cloth, and I learned that. It wasn't that hard after you taught me the lighting tricks. Well, I could put any background I want. I could be anywhere I want. I don't have to go travel anywhere.
Yeah.
I could be anywhere I want in the ship and never leave my room. And I was like, and they look just as good. And the first show came out and seeing the positive critique and how they were like, I can't wait for the next one. There was the motivation for that one. And then I got my family. It's a family thing. I want to do stuff with my family. And all my kids are like, Dad, we'll do this with you. All right, let's do it. And my 19-year-old son, who is the most cityfied person you can read, you to look at him, you're like, man, he does not look like he would belong. Joggers, Nikes, earring, listens to rap music. You're like, you would not think this kid. He's like, no, I'm doing this. This is happening. I like this. He did it. His sister, who is 13, who is our doctor, she's like, Dad, I want to do this with you. Okay. She's into drama. She hopped in and she was our doctor and turned out real well. And when you made a comment, love that doctor, she heard it. She's like, it boosts her confidence. So literally these fan films are boosting my children's confidence, who we keep to ourselves. We're not made of money. We don't have Audis in the thing. My truck's a 2004 F-150. We don't make car payments. We deal with what we got, and they're learning. I don't have to be afraid of who I am. And Scott Ort, who's our engineer, he was afraid of acting, and his living conditions a little bit different, but his dream was always to be in a Star Trek show. So the fan group which ones were serious, and weeded out some other ones about helping with this, turned from a nonprofit organization to where I'm going to be working in the next few weeks to USS Manchester fan page. And the website that I built for it is going to be the website where you get to see some stuff in tie with no budget protections. Look, advertise to YouTube. So when we know about your retirement, they get to see the whole universe, the Rain Cross and everything. And it brings everything in. And Mr. McClinton, who started it, he goes, I love the idea. I never thought of it. And it's an inspiration for him. I'm inspiring other people. And that's it. It's different. I work a full-time job. I've got a 6-year-old autistic son. So sometimes filming's a little rough because when he wants macaroni and cheese at 3 a.m, I'm arguing with a 6-year-old. I want mac and cheese. Well, we're not having mac and cheese at 3 a.m, but I want mac and cheese. I'm like, no, we're not having mac. It's just this argument. So filming is a little bit, but when he does get in there and we get him to bed and we do our film, we do it collaboratively as a family, and it is all hands on deck. We take it seriously. This is our fan film.
Well, that's one of the things that, I filmed with Royce a few times. I think now he's been, probably maybe a dozen and a half fan films, but he's been in front of the camera since he was 4 months old, um, and I honestly think he's going to be, you know, I think he's got something there, and it's not just because, I'm proud papa. I think he honestly does, because he's starting to understand how film works and why we're filming in front of the green screen and how to light it properly. I mean, what 5-year-old understands how to light a green screen properly? He doesn't understand what all we do, but it's I look forward to seeing his journey. But as doing something like that with your kids, it's like, I get as much enjoyment as that as I do when we go out and play football. To me, filming as a family, it's not about, okay, I got a free actor, or, I don't have to pay them. To me, it's about, you're enjoying something, and it's not something that, many people get to share. And when they find out, oh, you do this with your kids, you do this as a family, yeah, hell, it's fun. And for the most part, it's pretty cheap. Once you buy a uniform, it's yours. You can do whatever you want. Have an away mission, you can film in a shuttle, you can have, your people can be on vacation somewhere, and that's why the environment is the way it is. Again, there's a million type stories that you can tell, and especially you having seen where you started in that first episode to where you are as we're now editing the third episode. And it's nice, and it's seeing how you've progressed in terms of, the very short. I think it was like maybe a page and a half of a script, and allowing me to kind of expand upon the ideas and say, hey, let's try to fill this out. What do you think? And then, the back and forth. I've really enjoyed that. Because I've got to flesh out some characters and hopefully expand upon the ideas, which are 100% yours, but just kind of flesh it out a little bit more. What they call it script polishing,
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that a lot because, it gives me a property that normally I would be like, I have no desire to do this. But once I see it and I see the direction you're going, I'm like, this is good. I like it. And let me kind of sweep away the dirt. Oh, there's the diamond, and I like it because there's a lot of good there. And like I said, something that I normally would be like, I have no, I want to go watch my TV show. I don't care. But once I see what you've got going, I'm like, this is good. This is good. But I like the actors that you have. You can see the kind of wet behind the ears, the green, but the thing about it is we all started there. I did. It's funny when people they say, "Oh man, you're a great actor," and it's like, dude, I'm not an actor. I don't, I just hold the script off page. I hold my script off page here, and then I'm like, oh, here's the line. Oh, here's the line. I don't I don't have I don't memorize anything. And it's funny because my editor was talking to me about your uh, how you're going with your present actors and how you're kind of how you're kind of guiding them, much the same way that we used to do stuff in the early days. And I really get a kick out of that because I'm like I can see the growth that you have with your actors and how they're growing as actors. So it's really enjoyable to see that. Um,
What's enjoyable for me is I explained a little bit of the family, and in each script you wrote, you nailed the doctor, who is my 13-year-old daughter, to a T. And to make it easier for us, and Prue is her name, I was like, I want you to do this for me. I was like, it's natural for you guys to me if I give a stern order to say yes, sir. That's a rule that you guys, as children, me being in the military,
right,
set that for yourselves. You did that. I didn't enforce that. You all said yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You did
right,
that on your own. There was no training. I don't know where you picked it up from, but we just stuck with it.
right,
And so when I give a stern order, or if we have a stern talk, that yes, sir is naturally going to come from me because spankings are very rare. When I tell my kids, all I got to look at, I was like, I am disappointed in you. Tears. And that's the natural. And her attitude of, oh God, it's that melodramatic attitude that she naturally has. Like, Prue, it's time to go to school. Whatever, okay. And you picked up on it with the brief moment I just mentioned in our conversations for my kids. You picked up each and every one of their natural attitudes without ever meeting him. And I was like, Prue, be you. This
yeah,
is you. And she's like, you're right. And that's when she was going through and she did it. I'm like, that's who you are.
yeah,
And it was great. And Scott, for him, like from his first little video, and I sent you, and I was like, it's on the stupid little black screen. I can't do anything with it. I was like, Scott, I was researching some stuff on YouTube to help. And I was like, how I dug deep into my character is when I am in the uniform and in front of my screen, I am no longer Joseph Kelley. I am Captain Robert Campbell of the USS, or Commander Robert Campbell of the USS Infantry. Right now, you pretend right there for that moment, pretend you're no longer Scott. You're David Long. And you need to put yourself in the engineering. You said you always want to be in Star Trek. Take those parts of Geordi and stuff that you liked and run that through your head, and you're no longer there. When you're pointing at
yeah,
something, be there. And that's where I saw a little bit of a different growth. But he's a gruff man, and he wanted to be a gruff. That's how he expressed. He was like, his idea of his characters. He wanted to be disgruntled a little bit. You could tell, messy hair, disgruntled, kind of like the Barkley, but knowledgeable type.
Well, to be honest, after being attacked by the Jem'Hadar, they've kind of had a rough day. So it's understandable. That they're not exactly clean cut. So it's okay. But that you bring up something that I've said. Uh, I cannot stress enough that the best, at least for me, and again, this isn't for everybody, and it's not every situation. The best performance that you can get from someone is when you let the actor be themselves. Um, and because, I mean, we've all been frustrated, we've all been happy, we've all been in love. And just for those few moments, expressing that dialogue, be 100% in that moment. And therefore, it's not acting. Like if you remember what it was like to be, in love, and just remember what it was like to be in that moment and thinking of that person and just having your breath taken away by that, just the thought of that person, and then say the line, and be 100% in that moment. Like, it doesn't matter. The setting doesn't matter. It could be a planet, could be a ship, could be a shuttle, could be, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're 100% real in that moment, the character. It doesn't matter who you're talking to, what you're talking about. Like, it doesn't matter, because the emotion, you're selling the emotion. And that's it. That's it. The background, if it's your bedroom that you were in your first episode, or if it's the green screen that you're doing now, or what, it doesn't matter, because you, the person, are selling the character, the emotion, and that's it. And that does not come from pages of a script. The words do not matter. It's the emotion you're conveying. That's why I always say, don't stick to the words. Use the emotion. If you change it up a little bit, as long as you stick to the essence of what the character is supposed to say, the words don't fucking matter. Just stick to the essence. And that so many people get tied down to, well, the words are this exactly. Fuck that. Just, what's the essence, and stick to that. Be real in that moment. And that's so important. And I caught glimpses, especially with the doctor, of, when she got out of the mindset of, oh, but the words are that, when she got into that mindset of, okay, screw all the words, I'm just going to go for it. Yeah, go for it. Like, I honestly think, give her like 2-3 episodes, dude. I think she's gonna be the breakout star, because I think she's gonna be able to handle it once she gets past the words and just says, you know what, I'm gonna ad lib this, and I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give you 3 or 4 good parts, and we're going for it. Because again, as long as I get you to your line, doesn't matter what I say, we're going for it. And that's the key to acting. People, they say that I'm a good actor, but it's not it. I don't know. I don't know half my lines. I'm just going, I'm just improvising it.
But you
But
tell that in your videos, and I get the story, and it was an inspiration. I'm like, this guy's literally got cardboard. When you said you had your set out of cardboard, I was like, no, there ain't no way. That there's no way. And it's enjoyable, and it's relaxing. Like, and what I've done is to be that command and go. I'm going through that in real life as we talk about it. When I started, I just recently got promoted to assistant manager, and at
Oh,
O'Reilly's,
congratulations.
it was, at O'Reilly's, and I'm like, okay. And we had a manager that was just, she was great person, but she didn't have time to train. Like, we were really tight hand. It was like end pandemic type stuff.
Right.
And we got a new manager. And when I got over the fact, I'm like, man, this dude is just strict. Everything we do is wrong. There's nothing positive out of it. I'm like, and I got over that, and I started to think, I'm like, wait a minute. And he had to pull me aside. He goes, you're doing too much. You're an assistant manager. Delegate. So it's just like Commander Campbell. When they're not enough to be up to store manager because he's doing too much work, or he's not delegating, or not, he was what you were explaining. Like, he's not what you didn't see. You're not ready to be a captain because you haven't done anything outstanding to make that.
Yeah.
And it's going through there. Now we're running a store that's, my manager is like, he took vacation. He goes, you ran the store quite well. We had a meeting in Mount Vernon with one of our corporate guys. It was assistant managers and some stuff when we're going through some classes. And we were asking about our new program. It's called Zipline. And we have to have so many. Their goal is 100%. And I sat there, and my district manager looked, he goes, hey, this isn't the manager. The manager says, this is you. And he told everybody in our district, there was one person from each district. He goes, hey, this is why Marion's the king, the top of the top. He goes, Joe and his team are at 100%. And now I'm starting to come into that authoritative figure of, this is what I want done. This is it. And it's progressing through the show. So this is also helping me with him in my job. I mean, I'm taking the lessons from most. How is it helping you? Because if I could do it here, I'm going through it in real life. So the natural evolution in my character in the series is also happening to me in real life. Even though I was a sergeant in the military, it's different. And the Army, hey, go do that. Roger, Sergeant. There is no. it's a lawful order. It's punishable by military law. It's, hey, I want you to go do this and go do this now. Roger, Sergeant, and they go do it. Here, it's assistant manager. And I'm like, hey, I need you to go put away these headlights for me. And they're going to be like, and go do something else. Well, now I got to be like, hey, you need to do this. I'm in charge now. You have to do this. This needs to be done. I'm not doing it for you no more. I have other tasks to do. I've got paperwork. I've got to help the manager find out. We have $750,000 in our store. Then and if we're missing a part, we want to find it. We want to know why. So we're tracking movements and we're looking for stuff. Well, that's my job. No, my job is to also guide my team, drive their sales. Hey, sale, I'm good right now. I'm at 10 grand for the month and we're 2 weeks in. You guys are at 4 and 5. I'm going to step back and let you do it, but I'm right here for your help. Call me if you need me. I'm not in the back. I'm watching and I'm observing and watching the team members, and it helps. So that's how I'm bringing it into the character of Starship Manchester. And that this is what helped. I don't think, honestly, in my opinion, I don't think I'd be where I'm at without starting the fan film and taking the lessons that I learned from this and applying it to every day. And that's, I think, is healthy.
Well, the thing that I love about your idea for the film, one, you're extremely accessible. You're able to collaborate on the films. You had a distinct direction that you wanted to go, and you were open to the idea that I was able to present to you and go, how about we go that direction, but we go a little bit over here for so you were able to take, not criticism, but you were able to take a different perspective on some things to go, yeah, I like that, but also, but I don't want to do this. Let's do that. So you're able to give and take. And I appreciated that on so many levels because, one, I love being creative. I love working with other people. I love seeing stories progress because you definitely have, at least for the first 4 episodes, you have a beginning, middle, and an end. And then you have a next chapter, a jump off point for people who are wondering why it's called Starship Manchester. They're not on the Manchester. Well, there's a reason, and you're going to get there. And it's a deliciously beautiful moment, and I can't wait to get there with you because I think it's something that will be earned, much like when Cisco finally gets those captain pips. I feel this moment will be earned for you, and it's one of those things where you gradually get to know the members of the crew, much as we do your character. He steps up much the way we've seen Barclay step up, and eventually help the Voyager crew. Kind of a throwaway, fun character in Next Gen, but eventually, what he did helped get the Voyager crew home through his actions. Ultimately he was vital to getting that crew home. What if you took Troy out of the equation with him on the Enterprise? Would Voyager have gotten home? I mean, you just snug on those threads and you see how one person would have affected the whole thing. And that's kind of where I feel that we're kind of headed with Manchester, where it's like, look, you have this one captain. How important will this guy be? Well, I don't know. We'll see. We're definitely kind of toying with some of those threads with the after credits, because I think those are kind of fun. We're going to kind of see that kind of play out. But to finally see you take the, what do you have to do to get to the captain rank? I'm excited, and I like, not spoiling it for anybody. I mean, I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion that you're going to be a captain. But I like the fact that you kind of make Menard eat crow in that scene that we have coming up. Because that was one thing that I felt was very important. And again, for anybody who doesn't want to be spoiled, turn off now. You've been warned. I've always been a firm believer that anybody that wants, that they'll watch the movie, rather, because we always, why do we rewatch movies over and over and over? It's because even though we've seen it, we still enjoy the movie. So I feel they'll come watch it. But it was one thing that I felt Menard needs to kind of smack this guy back a little bit. So then when you finally have earned and stepped through the fire, Menard needs to humble himself and go, you you're the best guy for this job, because I feel like I felt this is also, by the time you get through 4 episodes or 5 episodes or 6 episodes, however many we decide, by the time you get to that point, that's you as a producer and as a captain. And I feel, and I could be wrong, but I feel that you've kind of done that, having seen you stepped out and now doing the green screen of your stuff. You're getting better. It's not 100%, but you're being a lot more ambitious than you did when you first started. But you're also, you're taking risks, and I like it. And you're taking that initiative that all producers have to do. What are your thoughts, man?
I do agree, and I want the series is very young, and I don't plan on stopping making the series for a little while. I want to continue the journey, continue stories. We're going to have adventures. I did send you a trailer for season 2 that has no characters in it. For when we end season 1 on this 4th episode, when filming begins for that. The way I also do my seasons is, or my shows, is I watch that other show and I watch it. I watch it with the family and I watch it with the kids, and we look and we watch and we look and we critique ourselves. I'm like, how can we do this other one better? And we watch it and we look, and then we start filming the next one. Like, remember how we did it in this one? We're going to do it in this one, and we're going to do it like this. So we wait for that extra one to come out. Then we start filming the other one because we want to see that other one. That pumps us up. That's our motivation. That's a pump. It pumps us all up, and they're like, all right, now let's get this done. We read the comments, we see what we want. And we also want to take the fans that are watching it, and they're like, we would like to see this. Well, there's a story idea. Well, we want to see this. Well, there we go. And I want to give people a steady season of a next gen timeline. Again, more uniforms once things even out are there. Unfortunately, me and my infinite wisdom and China sizes and my sizes are 2 different things. So I have like 4 different other older style uniforms that I just divvied out to all the crew. It was just so happened, I guess fate happened. So I'm like, okay, I have a story idea here later on in middle, maybe a season 2 or season 3, that we're going to do something along that line. And, we're like, how do we get there? I said, well, we'll find out. Maybe we'll lead up to that point in season 2.
Well, I do have a question.
Yeah.
So your uniform, maybe this is a little bit behind the scenes, but right now you just have next generation uniforms besides your one first contact uniform. Is that correct?
And I have a Monster Maroon.
Right.
So yes, we are trying to get the other actors, at least the doctor and the ensign. We'll leave that alone. We'll leave him alone. And the chief engineer, the first contact uniforms, because we were looking at it, and my kid's like, I really don't dig this jumpsuit from DS9, but I do dig this jacket. And it's not from the normal one. I found it on Allied Express. And what he liked about it and what I liked about it is it has the shoulder pads, and it's a felt, and it's a dark black, and the shoulder pads on it are really prominent, and it comes with a comm badge. I'm like, cool. What I like about it is it comes with a comm badge. We had some magnets to it. There's one less prop. We already got the pips. All we got to do is find a yellow turtleneck, a blue turtleneck, and we're golden. It's just the financial part on that aspect is like, hey, we got to be stuck on these next gen uniforms for a little bit, but we're going to go to the first contact or nemesis uniform and stick with that for a little bit on that one. Like I said, the Monster Maroon was 4 mistakes off of eBay, trying to find one because I wanted one just for me. I've always wanted one.
So
And
in season 2, so are you guys going to be trying to go to the Nemesis
yes,
uh, era? You're not going to be going to like the Voyager era. You're just going to kind of jump into the
no,
first contact. The
yeah, yeah, because just looking at on the financial aspect, is it's easier and cheaper on us just go to the first contact because again, where we won't spoil it, the mission that is bestowed, you might be a long way from home. You might miss a lot. Who's going to send us food and other stuff at star bases, but uniforms was probably the least of their worry, Starfleet's worry on us. And we might make a comment that in season 2, be like, man, what's all this new uniform stuff? And when we wrap up the end of season 2, we should all have the first contact uniform. Like, wow, we missed a lot, so make a little comment like, well, crap, well, what are we, chop liver out here or what's going on? We're a little bit behind the times, maybe have them Manchester, spit, sputter, and backfiring as she's rolling into space talk, But we do like the first contact uniforms because we do want to elaborate on stuff that wasn't, again, done in most Star Trek promotions and awards, recognitions. So the service or in the service dress, the dress whites will come out. A big event for a dress white, and just having a humbling dinner. Like we might even have a holiday episode where it's Christmas and we're out there and we're in the dress whites in season 3, and just enjoying each other's company as one happy family. Because as anybody knows, we don't have family. I do, but this long mission, no one knows if I'm married or not. It's just, family. It could be my mom. It could be my dad. It could be anything. We left that up there for whatever I decide to be. It depends on little guy in there. I might make him a little alien. He's going to be, I'm making him a Gorn baby. That's what I'm going to make him.
There you go.
He is on one, but the ideas are there, but season 2 is going to be the collaboration of not just my ideas. I'm going to let them explore an idea. My daughter, her being quirky and just, the out of cast and not really wanting to deal with people. She's not a normal 13-year-old girl. She'd rather read a book or watch TV or hang out with her dad or hang out with her brother. She's not out there and doing stupid stuff. I mean, she'll sit on the porch and be like, why are these kids so dumb? I'm like, because their parents are sitting up there and not involving. They're not, they got to keep up with the Joneses, and here we don't.
Yeah.
We don't keep up with the Joneses. So I have that opportunity to spend time with you. There's something that is hurting you. We'll attack it. We'll change that pain or that bully into an alien or to something, and we're going to help you overcome that. And that's what we're going to do. That's the next goal for season 2, is allow them to express their ideas. I mean, I've got 4, my ideas are all in season 1 to get us there. Well, I got a lieutenant, or I got a lieutenant commander, chief engineer. What is his personal thing? Hey, Scott, give me a story idea on what is bothering you. Okay. What life facing that you think you can help? What can we do?
That's the thing also. Having story ideas that allow your actors to get out either their frustrations or just, that life deals them, it allows them to, one, uh, bring themselves into the character, but get a little bit more comfortable with that character. It's more real. But it's a personal experience for them, and it allows the audience to kind of be more, close with, that character in the show. And it's just a better all around experience, and it's most importantly, it's therapeutic. I know, because there's been plenty of times where I've acted and stuff where I'm like, man, I got to get this off my chest. Some people write poetry, some people write music. And other people act, and that's how they get out their frustrations. There's been plenty of times where I've written a scene where I yell at somebody, and I'm like, "Let me get this off my chest. I need to vent." And it's very therapeutic. Acting is a great way to do that. Writing is a great way to do that. And that's a great thing you're doing, allowing your actors to kind of live vicariously through the character. It's wonderful. I like that. That's very, very cool. Not everybody has that opportunity. I think it's wise.
The Starship Manchester wouldn't be where it's at without, even though they are my kids, would not be where it's at, or even it would just be a one man show.
Yeah.
And they've all of the actors, including my chief engineer Scott, has been amazing. Scott's still messaging today. He's like, I think it'd be cool if we put no budget productions, underneath, but find somebody to make vinyl decals and put it on our cars. He's coming up with creative ideas. When I first talked to the man, he was just real reserved and real quiet. I've bought his uniforms, and his appreciation for that was outstanding. He was like, really? Like, again, I got a monster maroon. It's way too big. It's 3 sizes too big. I'm like, that's not an XL. That's like a 3XL. What in the world's going on? I look like a big, gigantic bell. Okay, I'm going to send this to you when I get the money. He goes, really? You would do that? I'm like, why not? I sent you one. I said, might as well. I mean, I'm not going to do anything with it. It's just going to sit in my closet. What, right away? No, I'll send it to somebody that's going to appreciate it and appreciate the gift that has been given to you. And he's like, you're an awesome man. Back to the idea thing, and the audience that watches the series and follows No Budget, somebody picked up PTSD. And I think the only other person besides my kids that knew that was you, because we talked about it, is that I suffer from PTSD, depression, and anxiety. And that's from the military and stuff. And somebody picked off about it real quick, like right off the bat. So that there was my motivation to get going, that they knew the story, what I was trying to convey. The comment was, this man is suffering from PTSD really badly.
Yeah.
And that's not an acting. That wasn't acting. That was me being nervous. So that a natural anxiety
Kicks up.
was there. And I was like, this person can either A, relate, or B, knows the signs, and there we go. And again, it's to help. It's to help other people go. And I hope, and the goal is that maybe some of the audience, or somebody that stumbles across, goes, hey, I'm interested in being a part of your series. Well, let's be serious about it. Let's sit down and let's talk. What can you do? And when I send a script, can you do it? This is what, you don't need a lot of stuff. Just get a piece of cloth from Walmart, throw it in the back, and we'll let the editor do that. I got the backgrounds that I so choose for the interior of the ship. So if you want to be in quarters, just let me know where you want it. We'll let you know where you're at, but we'll throw it there.
The best thing that they have these days, I mean, is, if you can light something, we can always pick a background. And the thing about it is, because it's fan films, like, nobody really cares. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who would say, don't take my background without using. But I mean, so many people use backgrounds for cover photos, or, whatever, sending pictures on Facebook. But it's like, realistically, we don't make any money off this stuff. And nobody, like, we don't have, like, hardly anybody really watches our stuff. I mean, it's not like we have, 3 million people watching our films and it's on big screen. Like, realistically, it's the equivalent of, like, a kid's play. Would you really be mad if somebody printed off a picture and put it in the play? No, of course not. And that's, maybe I'm oversimplifying, and maybe somebody would disagree, and that's their right. But I use images all the time, and nobody's ever said anything. I use cover photos. I use covers of songs, all the time, and nobody's ever said anything. They may use ads on my video, so they make a little bit off of it, the ad revenue, but they've never asked me to take it down, because nobody in this day and age, nobody really cares about those things. They understand, like, that's just what we live in. but the backgrounds, it's so easy to do and be where you want to be. If you want a certain background or you want to be in a certain environment, you don't have to build anything anymore, and that's the beauty of the green screen.
Well, the beauty of the green screen, and again, if we were at 3 million, viewers, I think we would lose the wholesomeness of everybody's story. That's part of No Budget Productions.
Yeah,
Frank, you, Sean, the Rain Cross, all of our stories have a meaning, and they're
yeah,
wholesome and they're heartfelt. It's not about how many likes, how many views, how many this. It's about telling the story, and if it reaches one, then the goal has been completed. And that's my
yeah,
opinion. Again, that's my opinion. And the ones that are 3 million views, I've watched some, and I'm not going to name them. And I've watched how some of them started off simple, just like us, but because they got the billion views, it becomes like they're arrogant. And I'm like, I'm not
yeah,
watching that, because the arrogance not only shows in their filming, or it shows in their filming, the arrogance of, this is what I spent on this, and this is what we're doing for this, and
it
this.
bleeds through.
It
Yeah,
bleeds through, and it's like, what's wrong with going to eBay and getting a Cosmart uniform? It's the
yeah,
same thing. You can't tell. I mean, a comment, my Monster Maroon. I watched Star Trek 2, and it's like the jackets were all different sizes. You could tell some of the sleeves were there, and I took a picture, and one guy's comment was, well, I don't think the white cuff was on the bottom. And me being me, I just kept my mouth shut. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, apparently you didn't watch Star Trek 2, because if you look carefully in some of the pictures, if they're not wearing the cutoff, the white cuff comes out. That cuff comes up to here on Spock, on Kirk, on Leonard McCoy, on DeForest Kelley. It's way up there. I said, but the only reason why you don't see the cuff is because they're wearing the half shirt, because the jackets were smaller. I was like, it was a small jacket. No one reached over their head. It was movement, because Gene Roddenberry hated wrinkles,
yeah.
hated them. So I looked, I said, that is as closest to movie as I'm going to get. It's a maroon color. If I wear it for Halloween or I'm in a film, someone's like, hey, that's a Monster Maroon. They're not going
Well,
to.
well, and that's like when you go to like a comic convention or something, or a Star Trek convention, and you see these people that cosplay. I mean, and you see some of these, really good cosplayers. You give them thumbs up, hey, right on. And you see some of these, like, little rinky dink cosplayers, and you're like, oh, well done. Like, you give them both the same thumbs up because you see the heart that goes into both of them. I mean, they both tried just the same, and you don't know their personal budget or their limitations, because it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. And it's one of those things where the fan films, it's the same thing. It's like, look, at the end of the day, we're not here trying to compete, like you said earlier, with the Joneses. you know,
Yeah.
it's, we all have our own limitations, and we're gonna get what we're gonna get. And you can spend $1,500 on a fucking uniform, or you could spend 50, 60 bucks on a uniform, $100 tops. Me, I think pushing 100, 100 pushing it for me. I'm like, it better be something pretty special. Like it better come smell like, ice cream or some shit. Like, there be some pizza rolls in that pocket. You know, but it's like, I'd say 50, 60 bucks is pretty good for a uniform, again, depending on what it is. Because again, some of those are pretty, pretty detailed, and again, material, because again, that also has to set you back, what the material is, what went into it, so I get that there is a fluctuation. But $1,500, no, screw that. I'll never do that, But again, it's one of those things where I'd rather pay 50, 60 bucks for uniform than be like, hey guys, let's go get some pizza. I'd
Yeah.
rather feed my crew, because again, no budget, and that's, yeah, I'd rather
Little,
be like, hey, what's that?
little budget less than a Little Caesar's pizza.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, dude. Yes, I mean, dude, the last time I went to the set, Like I bought 5 Little Caesars pizzas. that, that was exactly it. I was like, let's we're eating cheap, and I'm like, oh man, that ain't cheap. Because I mean, for me, I'm like, I spent like $40 on pizza. I'm like, oh man, that's yeah, that's $40. I don't want to spend $40, but I'm like, gotta eat, you know.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's at the end of the day, you do what you have to do, and you treat them right because it's the right thing to do, you know. And I've always been a big believer. If they go out there and shoot with you, you feed them. That's the least you can do. But again, $1,500 on a uniform. That's no, fifty
that was
sixty
a
bucks.
no for me. Like the Monster Maroon I got where it was, and I found it by accident. And yes, I had to take a piece off of it. It was $62 for the pants, the jacket, and the shirt. And it came with these little rinky dink motion pictures. I mean, I'm talking about the size of a quarter. I'm like, I'm using these for medals and stuff. So I'm throwing them in this little container because I got 2 of them. So I got 4. But when I got the jacket for $62, the jacket's like a real suit jacket. And I was impressed. And the people are like, well, where'd you get it? Allied Express. What? Yeah, it took 2 months to get. But at the end of the day, I don't stick to one supplier on the uniform. I find what one is going to work, what one's within the budget at the time. So if my budget says I can order a Cosmart uniform, I'm going to order Cosmart. But if my budget says, hey, you're going to try this Allied Express one, well, the jacket I got, the Nemesis one that I wear, that was $20. No lie, that was $20 for the jacket, the turtleneck. I already had pips, and the pips were just not right. They were sewn onto it. I'm like, no one's going to see if I cut those out real quick.
Right.
So I popped them off real quick and left a little hole. I'm like, well, guess what's going to plug that little hole? Pip, beep, beep, beep. And I put magnet pips on it, and it worked. I wore it how many times now
Yeah.
in credits? It
Yep.
worked, and it came
Well,
with a
and
college.
well, and at the end of the day, like for me, I've worn, I've gone through the entire spectrum. The first contact uniform I have, it looks very professional. You could mistake it for what they wore on DS9. Those are very, very nicely done. Uh, I mean, the way it's threaded through the shoulder, the top check, I mean, those I feel, and I not knocking the Star Trek Picard era ones. Those are very nice, but I think the emblems all over the top part, I think that's a little gaudy for me. I feel the first contact ones are probably the nicest ones because they feel like a military uniform. They're probably them and the Monster Maroons are probably the most militaristic that you're going to find. My Monster Maroon is not a high scale one. It was a gift to me, and that's not to knock the gift. I appreciate anything that's donated, but it's not one of those 1,500 Avanos ones.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
it's it's simply not. And if it was, I'd be like, why are you giving it to me? You put that in a case and keep it away.
exactly.
Again, you know, but it's when but the threads on the first contact ones, those are very nice. So, and I've worn those. I've also worn, if you go back to my earlier films, uh like my DS9/Voyager type uniforms, those are the ruby ones, the ruby Halloween ones. Whereas if you look over the patch, I got some black, I think it was Velcro tape, and put it over the patch because those are sewn on the next generation comp patch. So I had to put some black tape over it and then put my uh, first contact era badge over it so that it looked. I mean, and it looks so bad, but I mean, I didn't have any other uniform at the time. I didn't have the nicer threads for that I got later on. And of course, now I have the nicer ones, but I mean, I still have that classic rubies Halloween uniform, that was from Commander Benjamin Sisko, the early DS9 uniform, Um, but I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you use what you have available to you and you go on because you want to make a product at the end of the day and you do what you do. Um, but I mean, it's one of those things where unless you go through the fires, you really you can't speak. Um, so that being said, let me ask a question. So you're kind of thinking at the end of season two is kind of when you're all going to kind of need those first contact uniforms. Am I correct? Not to
Yes.
spoil the story or
Yes.
anything. How many episodes are you thinking are going to be in season two?
Well, I think what you said, but we don't want to go too long. And, 4 episodes was pretty good for this one. I think 4 or 5 should be a standard season for Manchester. It's not too much, but it's not too little. It's a story. So each season should be a story.
Okay.
It should be our venture. So we know we're leaving Space Dock, you know, out the gate. Well, I mean, no one knows how long the time is, between, seriously, it could be months, it could be a year. Eventually, we're going to have to go to Space Dock. And there's a spot that I want to talk to here in Marion because they love the arts. We have a beautiful civic center that we have concerts all the time. And it looks like something that would be a Starfleet Academy or a Starbase or something that's got beautiful chandeliers and just that stairway. It looks like, and when I went in there, I'm like, I bet they let me use this for free. This would be a good filming area that if we could, get out of the window area, has that nice yellow dim lighting kind of that we can come out of one of the theaters and make it look like we're coming out, whatever. And we're on a space dock awaiting our next orders. How far deeper are we going into uncharted space or whatever may be? But that's where we should get our uniforms. Because again, that gives us some time for me to get financially, set up for these uniforms for these people. Lewis Milford. Shush. Shush. It's my wiener dog.
The guardian of the house.
I'm telling you, yes. But we go, it would go into the uniforms where we go get supply. And if I've been looking for the rubies ones so that way because they would be cheaper. I have a DS9 uniform. Again, that's the uniform I picked for Halloween was the DS9 era. And if I could find the rubies ones at a fairly inexpensive price, I mean, they're outrageous even on eBay. We would go to the DS9 prior to season 2 because again, it's just trying to find that rubies one that works perfectly for it and be like, this is what we're going to go with. Yeah, they're pullover, but I don't care. This is what we're going with because we can move to the first contact. But right now I'm just planning on what financially not being able to find the rubies one is that we're just go to the first contact uniform and we'll be good and call it a day. That will be part of the venture. It's that little spoiler, like, they're wearing still the next gen, high color uniforms. When are they going to get a new uniform? Well, let's make that part of the surprise. Well, you don't know when. You don't know when they
That should be part of the theme. Like, hey, are we going to get those new uniform? Next stop.
yeah.
Really, guys? Like next stop. Hey, when are we going to get the next stop? Really, guys? Come on, man! Like, you should make that like an ongoing joke. Like, oh man, guys, come on, man.
That's a perfect idea. I didn't even think about it. I mean, again, when we're talking, that's a great idea. I like it. It's gonna be like, what? Really, guys?
Like every episode's like the running gag. Like, and you should start with it 6 months later, and like that's just like the running gag. Like, like we just
6
keep jumping.
months. Have that sponge. 6 months later. We got
There
those
you
new
go. There
uniforms
you go.
yet? Well, you see about that. I gotta go.
There,
Oh
there,
man.
there you go. There you go. Well, before we go, because I have to head off here soon. So before we go, how many crew members exactly do you have to
I've got
cover?
it's me. We've got 4. And I think the season 2 is I'm hunting for a first officer. Got to have a number 1. Got to have
Right.
an XO. And either one or two things can happen. I'm going to find one that is wanting to be the XO and willing to be serious about it, or two, here's a surprise. Either we find one or somebody unexpected is going to be the XO. And that's what we'll roll with. We'll discuss that behind the deal. Like, hey, I can't find anybody else. We still got 4, but we need an XO to push this in, and be the number 1.
So,
And go ahead.
so besides you, you've got 4 other people or
I've
3
got
other people?
three. It'd be both my kids and the chief engineer. That's it. That is serious about it. That, again, those are the 4 that are like filming. That ask, when are we filming? When are we doing this? When are we going? They're the 4 really, really going with it. It's just, again, in Southern Illinois, it's sad. They're so close-minded. Now, I got a buddy of mine named Randy this guy's named Tim, and he's into the science fiction stuff. And I'm going to call him and be like, hey, what has he got? And he knows. He done actually a George Lucas film, a story about George Lucas. He done all the art for it. This is how big in sci-fi this guy's in, loves it. And he found out what I was doing and wanted to sit down and talk to me about it. And I never got a chance to. So I'm going to get hold of my buddy Randy, like, hey, I need to talk to this guy, because if he knows some people to act, we need him. And we need to get their characters set up and get their uniforms going, because this next season is going to be picking up the rest of the crew. And if not, I got to change it. And we're going to be a skeleton crew, and Gilligan's Island it down the road of, hey, this is what we got, and rolling on through. And
Well, I kind of have an idea for where I want to pick up. I kind of have an idea I'm going to run past you after the show. We can kind of hit or miss on it. I mean, you know me, I'm flexible on what I want. So yeah, we'll touch base on it. But so here's what I'm going to run past you. I'm going to drop it on you. You let me know what you think, and then we're going to cut the show, because I got to head out here. So before we get to the end of the season 2, because we still got to get through season 1, so it gives us some time. I don't want you to have to pay for any of the uniforms for the First Contact era. So I'm going to go ahead and buy those for you.
you don't have to.
I want to, because I believe in your product. I love what I'm seeing, and I support you. It's not that expensive for me. It's my pleasure to do it, because I really care about you guys. I support you guys. I want to see you guys succeed. I want to see you guys keep going warp speed. I love what you guys are doing, and I want you to tell your crew that it's my gift to you guys to just keep going. Because I mean, that's if it wasn't for people helping me out when I first started, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So it's my way of giving back, and eventually, you're going to be in the same spot I'm in. I want you to just pay it forward.
Yes, sir. Will do.
All right.
You don't know how much that means to me right now. I'm speechless, and that's rare.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So with that being said, I think we'll cut it short. And before that wiener dog starts growling again, don't want to make him mad. So that being said,
he's standing on his hind legs right now.
there we go. There we go, man. There we go. See, he's already in attack mode. He's about to get me, so I better get off here. So with that being said, Joe, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. I can't wait to see where we go next with Manchester, and I can't wait to see where you guys go on your adventures. And I wish you the best of luck. Love and respect, man, and I mean it. And everybody watching at home, support the channel. Support this guy. Go watch a video, leave a comment if you see one popping up. Next time you do, just leaving a comment always means the most, especially when we're on a down, we're in a bummed mood or something. We'll see a comment. We're like, oh man, that's cool. You never know how you impact the person who's reading what words you say. So go put some positivity out there. So with that being said, everybody be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.